I'm going to go ahead and give my opening statement, then we'll turn to Senator Shaheen, and then we'll begin the questioning. Good afternoon. Welcome to our first budget hearing of the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Commerce, Justice, Science, and Related Agencies for this fiscal year 2020. I am pleased to welcome our panel of witnesses who represent a majority of the Department of Commerce's bureaus and the Secretary's offices. If you all didn't know each other till today, I'm glad you've had the opportunity to get acquainted. My focus for today's hearing will be to better understand the Commerce Department's top funding priorities and to emphasize these programs and activities that are important to our states, communities, and nation. The Department of Commerce executes a broad range of activities critical for our nation, which includes conducting a cost-effective and accurate decennial census, working with distressed communities to support economic growth, promoting an increasing trade and investment for U.S. businesses, enforcing trade laws to ensure that American businesses can compete on a level playing field, and operating weather satellites and forecasting severe weather, among many others. The President's FY2020 request for the Department of Commerce is $12.2 billion, which is $756 million above the 2019 enacted level, representing a 7% increase in the Department's overall budget. This increase is due to, in significant part, is due to the $2.3 billion in additional funding requested by the Census Bureau as the agency prepares for the 2020 decennial census. Once every 10 years, the Bureau of Census becomes the largest budgetary component of the department as they hire over 400,000 temporary workers to execute the mandated count of the population of our nation. And as of yesterday, we are now less than 1 year away from when the department will begin receiving responses to the 2020 census. The census provides vital data about our nation that directly impacts each state's representation in Congress, as well as the distribution of billions in formula-based federal funding among states and localities. The Department must ensure it meets its constitutional mandate for the 2020 census, and this subcommittee wants to be assured that funding requested in FY2020 can accomplish that task. In addition to the census, the Department of Commerce is central to our nation's continued economic growth, and the Economic Development Administration, or EDA, is a critical element of that work. Just a few weeks ago, I was with EDA Assistant Secretary John Fleming in my home state, and we visited Wichita State University, where I was able to witness the importance of EDA's work firsthand. EDA investments are critical for building and furthering regional capacity and translating innovation into jobs. Likewise, the National Institute of Standards and Technology's Manufacturing Extension Partnership Program is strongly supported in the business community as a positive example of a nationwide public-private partnership that improves the competitiveness of the domestic manufacturing industries. Representing a rural state like I do, although it's very multifaceted, I have strong support for these economic development programs. Rather than choosing to eliminate these opportunities, the Department of Commerce should be looking for more ways to help states, localities, and industries address their unique economic needs. The Department of Commerce also has an important role to play in maintaining U.S. leadership in long-term competitiveness in technology and science. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, is synonymous with scientific and technological leadership and innovation. While I'm encouraged by the Department's effort to prioritize research and development for funding the next-generation technologies like quantum science, artificial intelligence, and microelectronics, I'm also concerned about what the proposed cuts to the NIST Scientific and Technical Research and Services Program will mean for the United States' long-term leadership in these areas. I look forward to hearing more details on NIST plans to increase research in next-generation technologies while also preserving U.S. scientific and technical leadership. In recent months, natural disasters have occupied an outsized share of headlines across our country, including the Midwest, specifically northeast Kansas in my state. Just last week, I was there to tour disastrous flooding that has impacted so many communities across the Midwest. Commerce Department, through the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, is responsible for understanding and predicting weather and water events and enabling the protection of life and property through the effective broadcasting of that information. The recent spate of natural disasters has highlighted the importance of this work and also the need to improve on our ability to forecast and reduce impacts of weather and water events, which I was glad to see as a component of the 2020 budget request. I am interested to hear NOAA's plans for improving our current weather prediction and modeling capabilities and how the 2020 request will support those efforts. The Department also oversees the federal use of spectrum and manages broadband grants through the NTIA, National Telecommunications and Information Administration. There is a concern in my home state and in the states across the country that communities are not fully access broadband because they live in either underserved or unserved areas. I'm interested to hear how the department is currently working to address this problem and how the FY2020 request will further support efforts to understand where broadband access is lacking in our nation. Lastly, the Department of Commerce also plays a significant role in promoting global trade and enforcing our nation's trade policies. The trade-related work of the Department of Commerce is of particular interest and importance to me and to many on this subcommittee. We focused a lot of attention on it over the last year. I'm looking forward to hearing from our witnesses from the International Trade Administration and the Bureau of Industry and Security about their resource needs for FY20 to address the increase in trade activities. Furthermore, I want to convey the deep concern Kansas businesses, farmers, and ranchers have shared with me regarding retaliatory tariffs imposed on American agricultural products in response to the Department's Section 232 enforcement activities. My state is a major exporter, and our economy relies upon the ability to sell products we grow and manufacture to consumers around the world. I agree with the sentiments that our nation must be tougher in enforcing our trade agreements. However, when enforcing trade rules, we must be mindful of the negative impacts that retaliation can have upon our domestic economy. Achieving this balance will require continued congressional oversight, including this subcommittee closely monitoring the funding provided for trade activities and enforcement. To all of the witnesses, I look forward to hearing your views today and other matters that will come up during this hearing. And I'm pleased to now turn to the ranking member, Senator Shaheen, for her opening statement.